everybody, and welcome back to Vanessa's podcast on this Monday. And yes, the week is starting again. So today, I'm going to discuss the ways to choose the right podcast for yourself. Because there's a lot of people who has ADHD these days, including me, and with all the information and all the different type of podcasts out there, it's very hard to just simply make a choice. There's just too many choice, and so we either get a load of and then forget about it, and then we scroll it too fast, and then we don't really put all our mind into it because we're too distracted with the amount of choice, the amount of quantity of information. And yeah, you're talking about 100 and 100,000. And in the old days, I mean, you're talking 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have that many choice. So, you know, it was much easier for you to make a choice, of course. So, now when everybody is able to, you know, make their own podcast like I'm doing, and make their own radio station, and just pay a few bucks and have and be on the air, and in between all the live and stuff, podcast also. Like, okay, this is great. This is accessible. This is free. Why not listening to wonderful podcasts? You know, why not inform yourself? Because you know, audiobook is great, and and watching TV is great, but I think podcast is more than that. I think podcast is just it's extremely valuable, and it's all in one section. So when you choosing a certain genre or a certain person, it depends if it's about a subject, about documentary, about science medicine, about brain game, about astronomy, murder, mystery, story, cold case, ology, 60-second science, brains on, part-time genius, Star Talk, NASA. You got so many different subjects. Discovery, mysterious universe. And there's all the TED Talks also listed on the podcast. And then you have stories of just personal stories, and you have also parenting, kids corner. So those are really nice too, so we can help parents. So each of them are really different. So here are my tips on how to decide to choose and to stick with the podcast and it's right for you, but you know you're gonna consecrate a good amount of time in it. You're gonna go all the way and until you're ready to move on to the next, instead of just keeping and having too many open windows, too many podcasts at the same time, and not really getting into it as much as you want to be or should be, and as much as getting the information than you actually want to get out of it, because you're listening to a podcast because you want to listen, you want to get informed on something new, right? Okay, so first of all, while you're going down and you're scrolling down and you're like, okay, let's see, there's 5 different type of podcast station out there, and in each of them there's about 3,000 dedicated podcasts. Let's say just the most popular ones. It's hard to just pick a company, first of all, to say, okay, which company am I going to go with, because, you know, I might miss out, you know, and that's how ADHD brain works. It's like, I might miss out on something great. Who knows, I'm picking the wrong one, and I'm going to be left with all this crap when I could have got the best, you know. So it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay not to get always the best, and it's okay to listen to crap, you know, once in a while. It's okay. It's information. It might not be good information, but it's, you know, it's human stories. So anyway, you know, I think sometimes we choose a certain genre subject and thinking that it's what we like, and as we start listening to it, then we realize, and we always found some excuse not to listen to it as much, and we're not really that interested as we thought we would be. And that's when we realized, and we actually didn't make that decision on our own, that our subconscious made that decision, and it was not based on your true desire. So it's so that's the way you're going to be able to be able to measure and figure out which one is really something that's going to captivate you by trying a few of them. So you gotta just pick, let's say, 5 genres, get 5 genres. You're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna get 5 genres of podcasts. I'm gonna follow each of them, and I'm gonna, let's say, every day I'm gonna listen to half of a podcast, depending on how long it is. And then out of those 5, you're gonna say, okay, which 3 sounded the best? But I truly was interested. And if none of them, then you're gonna have to do it again. Just pick a new 5 different themes, different genre, and then and start over. And don't worry about missing out, because there's always gonna be a better one next time. Like by example, I didn't know how much I missed all the murder mystery cold case, and I got into hoax and into just unresolved mysteries, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And I actually spent millions and millions of hours watching Criminal Minds and Law and Orders and all of these shows, you know, CSI Miami, all this, and that probably has something to do with it. And of course, Cold Case, you know, who hasn't watched Cold Case? And yeah, and I really got into it, and I kept telling myself, no, I'm more interested in that and in something else, and the truth is that your mind is going to pick for you. So that's why it's important that you just try out, and then once in a while, it's good to open your mind by trying something else. Something that you might not think that you like right away, and you actually get into it. So, you know, how do you call this, spectacle, when it will take maybe an hour before you get into it, and then you realize, you know what, this is very valuable. This is way more valuable than I ever imagined. You know, I'm going to get into that, because the more we picked on things, the more we realize that we can learn, we can get into a new era, we can understand more, we can relate more, we can always compare to another peer, but we can always find some kind of common ground in our past life, past experience is going to bring us to a different subject, and everything is relatively, you know, interesting. So, you know, unless you okay, there's something called Space Nut that might not be really interesting. Naked Astronomy, I don't know, what the hell is this? There's a lot of different, let me see. So I want to get into the NASA and universe, stars, topics. Then you have diverse voice, impersonator. This is super cool. People who are doing different voices, actor voice. Celebrity podcaster. This is good, but it can get kind of boring at times, depending on the actor. Then you have the healthy living, talking business. If you in the move of getting new clients, getting more marketing, getting into, you know, different contracts, you like working really hard. I mean, it would be really good for you to get in that week of, okay, I'm going to get into those podcasts. You get the food, cooking, and all your news and stuff. So if you're not a person who listens to news on podcasts or just radio or TV, then don't add that to a list. Just make your podcast choice something something different than you read in the newspaper or you watch on the TV. So also keep it for the evening. And I'm telling you, if it's something you really like, you really gonna get into it, and you're gonna start saying, hey, oh my God, where have I been all this time? I need to listen to some more. There's so many more than I haven't listened to. So I'm not trying to sell you anything here, because I'm not a good seller, and that's just a fact. I just don't sell stuff really good anyway. So, and that's gonna be it for this episode. And I'm still waiting on new guests. Write me up at vbush103gmail.com if you are a business owner, into art, an author, an artist, looking for coaching. Write me something. Let me know you want to be on the podcast, and see you next time.